Hi there. My name is Dr. Grant Skidmore, and I was the technical lead on the Breath project. In this video, I'm going to be introducing the project and covering some of the key results. These results are covered in much greater detail in our final report, which the City of Melbourne has made publicly available online. First, what was the Breath project? Well, it might help to know that Breath stands for Building Retrofit for Efficiency, Air Quality, Thermal Comfort, and Health. It is a project that, for the first time, at least to the best of our knowledge, looked at the energy use for various ventilation retrofit options experimentally at full scale. This means that these measurements occurred in a high-rise building, which was located in Melbourne CBD, rather than inside a lab. The aim of the project was to look at various ventilation retrofit options and determine which one was the best in terms of both occupant safety and energy use. The analysis, approach, and assumptions were presented in such a way that the results could be modified for other buildings, whether they are located in Melbourne CBD or elsewhere around the world. 3 retrofit options were explored. In addition to this, we also examined the standard operation baseline case. These retrofit options were open windows, displacement ventilation, and in-ceiling HEPA filters. The baseline standard operation option was the business as usual case where no changes to mixing ventilation occurred. We studied this primarily to help us determine the relationship between building power usage and outside air temperature in the archival data. The open window option was inspired by the ASHRAE advice that has been provided and is available online. It was deemed a zero upfront cost option, which we note is only true for buildings with existing operable windows. This option would increase the effective air changes per hour, or ACHE, by allowing fresh air to move into and out of the space in combination with the standard mixing ventilation which continues to operate. The displacement ventilation option was graciously designed and installed by A.G. Coombs. This option employed a series of downpipes and floor-based diffusers to retrofit the space such that cold air was supplied near the ground instead of from the ceiling. Displacement ventilation is a different form of HVAC supply than standard mixing ventilation. Here, instead of well-mixed air like you saw in the previous image, in the space we have more of a pronounced upwards motion of the air. This would theoretically allow for an office where socially distanced coworkers would have minimal interaction with each other's aerosols. A heat load was employed to create the required thermal gradient in the space for this retrofitted displacement ventilation to work. 1,600 watts worth of heaters were used to simulate 10 people plus their workstations. You can see them as the buckets on the chairs throughout the space. Displacement ventilation allows for warmer air supply to be employed during a cooling cycle whilst maintaining worker comfort. This is because the thermal gradient has the coldest air near the floor and the temperature increases with height, meaning that the hottest air ends up near the ceiling where the air returns are located. The in-ceiling HEPA filter option, which employs devices designed and built here in Melbourne by a local company named Westaflex. These filters are similar in power use and cleaning efficiency to the air purifiers that you might see in classrooms around Victoria. However, they have one added benefit. That is, they can be tied into the building management system that a building manager or supervisor employs. This means that unlike portable HEPA filters, these are centrally tied to the building's power and tenants cannot turn them on or off, nor can they move them around. They are constantly there providing filtration to the air of the space. The wooden boxes that you're seeing in this video are not what these would look like when installed in a building. These were prominently displayed so that visitors to the space could see them. In the actual design, these are meant to sit inside the ceiling cavity, being virtually undetectable. For each of these ventilation options, we had conducted a series of measurement and analyses. We looked at changes to the ACHE with controls. We modeled COVID-19 transmission within the space with each retrofit option, and we modeled energy use for each control. What we found was, for building users and occupants, each of these retrofit options greatly increased your safety and reduced the likelihood of acquiring a virus via aerosol when an infectious person was also present. We found this experimentally via an increase in ACHE and numerically with a reduced number of secondary cases in the model. That is to say, if you're a building user or occupant and you see a retrofit option, whether they are open windows, air purifiers, both in-ceiling or portable varieties, or displacement ventilation retrofits, you can be assured that these will increase how safe you are in the space from aerosolized viral. For building owners and managers, the energy usage for these options varied considerably and should be considered along with the upfront price. For each of these retrofitting options, we also had some additional findings that we'd like to detail. Open windows. When these are present and operable, they present a zero upfront cost option for increasing the ACHE. This option increased the ACHE the most of all retrofitting options examined and tied for second highest reduction of modeled viral spread. However, the trade-off for this is a greatly increased energy usage even for moderate climates. The increase in building energy use from the chiller alone was sufficient for the other option to be more financially viable before 20 summers worth of continual use. We do remind the viewer that operable windows are not always present in a building and therefore may not be a viable option for ventilation retrofits. In-ceiling HEPA filters. When these are present, they provide a low upfront cost option for increasing the ACHE. This option had the second highest increase in ACHE of the retrofitting options explored and tied for the second highest reduction of modeled aerosolized virus spread. The trade-off for this option is that there's an ongoing cost associated with the monitoring and changing of the filters. That is, all HEPA filters, whether they are portable or ceiling mounted, will have filters and pre-filters that are gradually filled with aerosols and dust. We have modeled the ongoing cost for this and found the in-ceiling HEPA filter option to be able to repay for itself due to reduced chiller power usage relative to open windows within 20 years. This is true even with an assumed $1,000 a year service charge for filter maintenance. In-ceiling HEPA filters also had a very, very slight increase in power consumption for the space at 60 watts per unit. Displacement ventilation. Retrofitting the space for displacement ventilation was the largest upfront cost option for both increasing ACHE and the safety of the space. This option also had the smallest increase in ACHE, but the largest reduction of modeled aerosolized virus spread. The reason for these seemingly contradictory findings is that displacement ventilation was found to greatly reduce how far aerosols would spread, effectively reducing the population of the space. This option also was able to greatly reduce the energy required by the chiller to cool the air, owing to the larger air supply temperature that could be used. As a result, this option was able to pay for its high upfront cost within 20 years. However, if you are interested in employing displacement ventilation, we suggest that you talk to a building ventilation specialist to see if your space is well suited for this option. Thank you for your attention and listening about our project. If you'd like to learn a bit more about this project or ventilation in general, I invite you to read our breath report, which has been hosted online by the City of Melbourne. If you'd like to hear more about our work that we have going on at the University of Melbourne, I invite you to check out our website or send us an email. Stay safe and have a great day.